You know something is wrong. Love calms you. Use addicts and exhausts you. If there were love, your life wouldn't be a cycle of empty promises and endless waiting. If there were commitment, you wouldn't be here trying to decipher signs. The reality is this: the other person acts, he shows up, he says he is present, he promises the world. And you wait, justify, adapt, remain. Nothing changes. The pattern is confirmed. It's always like this. He exchanges words for silence. He uses promises as currency. He makes you believe what you're living is love. And you seek meaning where there is only convenience. Look at the facts. This person says he feels, shifts focus, puts you in the background, and you strive, beg for attention, adapt to absence. This isn't love. It's wear. And you are sustaining a structure that offers nothing in return. The bond only exists because you sustain it. Not because it's strong, but because you don't cut it. When someone loves, they act. When someone respects, they commit. When someone cares, they don't leave the other in the dark. The rest is just noise. You don't need more time to wait. You don't need more justifications. You don't need another chance. You need to decide if you will keep accepting scraps. There is no comfortable ending. The only truth is, you can stop. And this won't happen by itself. You may wonder why you are still here. The answer is simple: hope. A distorted idea that everything can change, that someone might finally see your worth. But what you don't see is that this hope is a prison. You are a hostage to a being that doesn't recognize your presence. This person appears with shining promises. Promises change, but only repeats the cycle. And you cling to these promises like a castaway to a piece of wood. You ignore the signs, pretend you don't see. This is what attachment does. It clouds reality and turns what should be clear into a tangle of illusions. The other person manipulates your need for connection. They know that your insecurity is a weakness and use it to their advantage. They say they will change, that they care, but the change never comes. In reality, this promise is just bait. And you, always ready to bite. What you need to understand is that this dance is not love. It's a performance that only benefits one side of the story, theirs. When they disappear, you surrender to despair. You look at every unanswered message as a sign of rejection. Each silence weighs like an anchor. You try to find logic where there is none. The mind gets tangled up in questions. Why didn't they respond? Did I do something wrong? The pattern reaffirms itself. The other person ignores, you justify. And so the cycle continues. In truth, this relationship is not colorful. It's gray, a shadow that consumes your light. And you, who were once vibrant, now become a caricature of yourself. You live for the other person, what they want, what they need, what they feel. Your needs, however, are buried under the weight of this emotional dependence. Observe the moments. They show up when they're alone, when they have nothing better to do. And you're always available, waiting for the window of opportunity to open. This is not love, it's a service. You have become an accessory, an ornament in their life while your own essence fades away. The need to be loved traps you in a cycle of self-sabotage. You accept crumbs because you fear the emptiness of loneliness. But that loneliness is preferable to continuous disgust. You can choose to walk away, but preferring to stay feeds the illusion that something will change. It is necessary to recognize that the bond between you is not a sacred connection, but a network of conveniences. Love does not reside in this dynamic. Love demands reciprocity, respect, and commitment. Love does not turn into a waiting game. For someone who truly loves, the other is never a plan B, but a priority. Now, think about the consequences of this. Deteriorated mental health, shattered self-esteem. You have gotten used to doubting yourself, measuring your worth by the actions of the other. Every time they withdraw, the hole in your self-image deepens. And you need to ask yourself, for how long? You are not stuck in a cycle of love. You are stuck in an expectation that does not materialize. You remain in that space because you still believe that the next moment will bring what you so desperately desire. But the truth is harsh. It is not going to happen. Yes, there may be a moment when they come back full of promises, with a smile that melts hearts. But look beyond that. Ask yourself if what you truly want is really there. Or are you just willing to accept another phase of this destructive cycle? That is the harsh reality. The cost of your staying is increasing and you try to ignore it. There is no comfort in this choice. Only the echo of the exhausting routine. And what do? You stay still. Deciding to stop is difficult but necessary. You need to break this vicious cycle. The only way to free yourself from this structure that offers nothing is by cutting the ties. It will not be easy. Moving forward may seem like a labyrinth with no exit. But the alternative is to suffer eternally for a love that does not sustain itself. Expanding your vision is crucial. The moment you close the door to what no longer serves, you open a crack for what could be true. Yes, there will be moments of loneliness, but there will also be space for reconstruction. And in reconstruction, you may discover your strength. Refusing to sacrifice yourself for crumbs is the real key. It works for the other, but the cost is yours. Time is not your ally here. You have already lost enough. The reality has been presented. It's time to act. Have you ever found yourself reflecting on how many unfulfilled promises you've swallowed? Each word that hasn't materialized turns into emotional debris. You believe the stories told, but they're nothing more than narratives meant to keep you tied to a vicious cycle. The other person might even seem charismatic. The words are sweet, but the taste is bitter. And you? You get used to living in the expectation that things will change. With each reunion, there's renewed hope. But in the end, reality always welcomes you. Nothing changes. The pattern repeats and repeats. The truth is that living in this uncertainty consumes your energy. Your inner self becomes a shadow of what it truly is. You see yourself increasingly distanced from who you would like to be. Drained, insecure. This isn't love. It's an invitation to continuous wear and tear. The feeling that life is passing by while you're stuck in this cycle is palpable. You see the days slipping through your fingers, still waiting for a gesture that never comes. With each new disappointment, you promise yourself this will be the last time. But the routine is treacherous. You find yourself repeating patterns like a scratched record, even though you know there's no new music. He shows up with the same story, and you, like an actor in a rehearsed play, perform your role. You wonder if the fault is yours, if you should have done something different. But which part of the script speaks to your needs? The absence of the other is not silence, it's a scream. The echo of your unmet needs reverberates around you. You start to mold your identity based on this void. The image you reflect in the mirror is no longer yours. It's a construction based on what he wants. You give others the power to define your worth. And in this, you forget about yourself. Look at your life again. Where are your desires, your passions? What makes you vibrate? All of this dissolves in the shadow of the other. He arrives with promises, but you say goodbye to who you could have been. It becomes clear that you are in a relationship of convenience, an unequal exchange where only one side benefits. There is a moment when the pain becomes so intense that you realize this illusion is not worth the price paid. But then fear comes into play. The fear of the unknown takes hold of you. What comes next? What happens if you really decide to break it off? Loneliness, which once seemed like a possible ally, now transforms into an enemy. You are afraid of the void. But what if this void is the beginning of something new? An open space to start over, explore new horizons, a place where you can finally breathe and rediscover yourself. Each time the cycle repeats, you reaffirm your lack of willingness to change. You become a prisoner of memories, a hostage to the good moments that were only interludes in an out-of-tune concert. True love cannot be a roller coaster of highs and lows. It cannot be a constant war between hope and disillusionment. You surrender to nostalgia, believing that the moments of happiness make up for the constant pain. But are these moments real, or just a mirage you created to justify what is unacceptable? Time passing does not heal. It reveals, and the revelation is clear. You do not deserve this emotional prison. When you decide to stop seeking recognition in the other, what happens? You start to notice the little things you used to ignore. The smell of fresh coffee in the morning, the warmth of the sun on your face, the spontaneous laughter of a friend. Life becomes more meaningful when you do not self-sabotage your experiences. Freedom begins to take shape in front of you. Breaking the cycle is not the end. It is the start of a new narrative. A story where you are the protagonist, where your emotions have value, where your desires are not subordinated to someone else's needs. You don't need to lose yourself to find someone. Look back and see what you have survived. Every tear, every sleepless night, every forced smile. You are no longer willing to do that. Not for the hope that the other will change, but for the certainty that you deserve more. More than crumbs. The only viable direction is forward, to your future. Reality has already been presented. And what do you do with it? You decide. The choice is yours. Change begins when you say, enough. It is time to close chapters that lead nowhere and open new ones that reflect who you truly are. And so the cycle breaks. You don't accept less than what truly belongs to you, and that changes everything. You see yourself in a mirror, but the reflected image is no longer the same. The marks of wear and tear are visible. Each line on your face is a memory of unfulfilled promises. Each empty look is an echo of the expectations you nurtured. You no longer recognize who is there. Once vibrant, now a shadow. What happened to your essence? Where did your dreams go? Life presents you with opportunities, but you hesitate. The fear of the unknown still haunts you. The comfort of routine, even though exhausting, is tempting. The idea of change may seem unattainable, like climbing a steep mountain without equipment. Yet, what you ignore is that this mountain is also a prison. And the key to freeing yourself has always been in your hand. As you reflect on your choices, the phone rings. It's him. The pendulum of hope swings again. That smile that melts hearts, the sweet words that seduce you. But you remember. What lies behind those promises? The cycle does not break at that moment, but rather reaffirms and repeats. You have the power to ignore, but the strength of memory is treacherous. The memories of good times come to the surface. A candlelit dinner, shared laughter, moments you consider precious. However, these fragments of happiness do not erase the pains that came along. They do not justify the absence during important moments. The promises made one night still echo in the long hours of silence. The love that should have been became an illusion. When you step away from this distorted narrative, you begin to see things as they really are. It is a painful but necessary process. As the layers of expectation fall away, a truth emerges. You realize you do not need this relationship to be whole. Your essence should not depend on another person. You are complete in yourself, even if you forgot that along the way. The weight you carry is the result of an attachment formed in a fertile soil of insecurity and dependence. Every day you watered this ground, believing that love could bloom. But what grew was a weed, suffocating your true passions and desires. What could have been a vibrant field became an arid desert. And when you finally decide to break the cycle, freedom knocks at the door. The feeling is strange, even scary, but at the same time, there is a breath of hope. Life outside of this relationship begins to feel like a blank canvas. What will you do with it? The question pulls you out of paralysis. You can color this canvas with new experiences. Paint with the colors that had previously been forgotten. The first step is to choose for yourself. Wake up and decide that you will no longer live by another's expectations. Facing the pain of this choice is fundamental. There is an unexpected relief in rejecting the usual pain. You realize that the crumbs you accepted were not enough. You realize that you deserve a feast. You begin to explore your inner world. You discover hobbies that you never had time to develop, and interests that were dormant. Each new step takes you further away from the past. Each new experience brings you closer to your essence. The laughter of friends, the smell of a freshly opened book, the feeling of the wind on your face, all of this becomes precious. The space that was once occupied by waiting is now filled with self-care. You see yourself in the little things, and it is liberating. Sometimes, thoughts of the other person still cross your mind. The cycle doesn't disappear overnight. However, the difference now is in how you react. Instead of succumbing to despair, you breathe. And as you breathe, you realize that your life no longer depends on them. There is an entire world waiting for you. Your experiences are yours and only yours. The solitude once feared is now an ally. And so, each day, the story rewrites itself. It's no longer about waiting for someone who doesn't know how to offer what you need. It's about honoring yourself, about rescuing that vibrant essence that was once obscured. The cost of remaining in the harmful cycle you have decided is no longer worth it. The discovery of your inner strength becomes apparent. What seemed like a labyrinth now is a clear path. You decide what your next steps will be. You choose what to bring into your life and what to leave behind. In the end, you understand that this change is not just about breaking free from a relationship. It's about reconnecting, refinding who you truly are. This rediscovery is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where you are the protagonist, where each step is taken with confidence, where your desires are not subordinate but central, and now you are ready to move forward, ready to seek not just what is good, but what is truly worthy. The reality has already been presented. You chose, and that choice changes everything.